Hello. Talking today about a little bit of a response video, a little bit me just musing video. Book time with Elvis. Took Sean D. Standfast's advice and read George Orwell's essay, which is Books and Cigarettes. I think I have the title right. I should actually track down the essay. He read the essay out loud, a very short little thing that appeared in the newspaper, where Orwell, I guess, been talking to, a friend of Orwell's had been talking to some workmen, and the workmen were, kind of like saying, "Oh, we enjoy your newspaper," and it's like, "Oh, do you read the literary section?" It's like, that's advertisement for like expensive books. We can't afford that. Um, and Orwell sort of took them up on that and said, like, well, really, are books that expensive? And this is back in the, I would assume, like probably the 30s or 40s, 1930s or 1940s, when Orwell was scribbling along in newspapers, and said, like, he actually kind of looked at it and said, actually, no, it's probably got about equal cost. If maybe even a little bit less. And I think about that nowadays. It's kind of one of those interesting things of reading books is seen as elitist thing. I don't know if reading books is seen as an elitist thing because the books themselves are so expensive. Because it seems nowadays you could spend a lot more money on other entertainments. Video games, movies, going to movies, or simply, spending all the money on the various streaming services that you want, whether it's Netflix or Disney Plus or Shudder or all that, or just, God, I know, looking at my bill, just straight cable is also expensive. My TCM habit, for delving into kind of old American kind of Hollywood movies. There's definitely expenses there that you would think, if I only read books, whether it was ebooks or, God, if I actually still was more into purchasing used books. It's like the thing with a used book is I can actually return that. Ebooks are probably in the balance of things are actually a more expensive thing, because I can't. It's not like I can buy it for a little while and then sell it back. For an ebook, I am buying a one-time permission to have this book. It's a contract. I'm not buying a physical book. I'm buying. It's a promissory note for this e-copy of it, which I can't pass on to anyone else and recoup any of my money, even though oftentimes the ebook and a physical book cost the same. You would think, because I only have an electronic copy of this thing, that I can't sell on. Whereas Don Quixote here, I could potentially take to a secondhand bookstore and potentially get a couple of bucks for if they don't have 1,000 Don Quixotes, and if that translation is out of business. So it seems to me that the whole argument of expense doesn't really particularly hold up as a thing for books. But that's, of course, expense of that is the expense of being able to purchase a book. But I mean, the wonderful thing about books is that this, which was $15 Canadian, on the back of the book. If I don't know if I paid $15 for it. No, I paid it secondhand for $9.95. So it's like it only costs me that amount. However, the wonderful thing about a book is that at least for me, not for everybody. For some people out there, this could be a week's reading. For me, this would be a couple of months reading. So it's hours and hours and hours of entertainment for only $9.95, and I can reread it, and I can pass it on. But it's a time cost. That's maybe one of the reasons we have BookTube is people casting around for suggestions. What's worth reading? Is that actually going to be worth my time, or is it going to waste my time? And you'll get varying opinions of Don Quixote, whether I would say it's totally worth your time. Other there are differing viewpoints though, and you can get those online, which are also equally valid, especially because I have my tastes. But Sean the Book Maniac wasn't particularly Sean wasn't particularly impressed with Don Quixote. And if your tastes align more with Sean, oh, if I'm going to spend my time, I'm not going to spend my time on Don Quixote. I'm probably going to spend my time on something that Sean really loves and gives me lots of good reasons why I think okay, I will try that. So um, there is that barrier there though of time, of time costs. um I have a full-time job. I've got various things that I've got to do outside of jobs. All the stuff I have. This is the For me, this is the week, this is the well, not it's not a long weekend for me, but it's Labor Day weekend. But I have my 2 days off as usual, and it's like, oh, what am I going to spend my time on? And there is a transactional thing there of, you know, how much time do I have to spend? And I mean, I guess that's the thing is, why don't people read? It's like, well, maybe people find more enjoyment in watching a movie, in playing a video game, than they do reading. Obviously, for this audience, if you're watching me, you're probably the balance is more like is different. You probably really enjoy reading. That there's just something that gives you such joy and fulfillment, entertainment, intellectual stimulation, emotional, that you will spend your time doing that versus the other things. It's funny. There's sometimes I think, when booktubers bring in their other interests onto their channels, and they get a little bit of kind of blowback for that, which it's always puzzled me because it's like, it's your channel, you can talk what you want to talk about. But there's almost that certain thing of like, oh, you're breaking our bookish you're breaking the bookish code of we're supposed to be spending all our time reading, and by bringing in your other interests, whether it's it's video, doing a video game thing, or movies, or knitting, or crafts, or not craft, but knitting, or other enthusiasms into your channel. You're kind of breaking like, no, this is the place where we want to devote all our time to reading. We want to spend all our time reading. It's all those people out there who want to do other stuff, and you're bringing that in there. Isn't this a terrible betrayal? It's like, no, of course it's not. People have some people I hear have well-rounded lives where they do a lot of other things, whether that's walking their dogs, whether that's spending time with their families, are actual full rounded human beings. And I think people actually do appreciate when you bring that stuff into it. But there's something about like, oh, when I tune into BookTube, I'm also still spending time in a bookish related area. And if you do something that's not bookish related, well, then it's not budgeted into my time anymore. So I'm not going to pay. Maybe I won't pay attention to your video as much. So yeah, it was just one of those. It was an interesting conversation that Elvis and Sean have generated, and I just wanted to ramble on for a couple of minutes with my ill-informed, narrowly focused, bookish thing. But just also kind of acknowledging, there's we're in a semi-like group of people here where we're all really focused on reading and stuff like that. And it's like, why don't more people read? But it's like, you could also say, why don't more people watch TV? Why don't more people watch films? Why don't more people play Minecraft? So, but, you know, I, it's, there was a brief mention of like, oh, is it the educational system? Is it how you were raised, like with your parents? It's like, I feel like my first memories are just being reading. Reading is what I do. Reading is who I am. It just brings me joy. So that's why I read. And I guess if it doesn't bring you joy, then that's why you don't do something. I don't play Minecraft because I don't actually, I've never tried Minecraft. Maybe I'd get into Minecraft and it would bring me such joy I would drop books altogether. But I'm probably going to avoid Minecraft for that very reason, amongst others. All right. I've been Jay. More videos later.